This is Daniel Knopf, writer of number 53, The Thrushes. You're listening to the Blacklist Exposed on Golden Spiral Media.
Rubber Ducky, you're the one. You ruined all of Aram's fun. Welcome back to the Blacklist Exposed. I'm Agent Troy Heinrichs.
Quack, quack, bitch. I'm Agent Aram Peterson. I've just been waiting all week just to say that. I feel like a badass 80s action hero right now.
Taking it out on a woman.
Thanks for joining us this week as we discuss number 53 on the Blacklist, the Thrushes, which is also a medical condition.
And a bird.
Which aired, what's that?
And a bird. Common blackbird, actually.
Man, I guess maybe that shows the differences in us. I automatically go to disease, and you go to nature. Okay. It aired October 27, 2016, which is also a happy anniversary, 14th anniversary to you and the missus, by the way, Troy. Congratulations to her for suffering.
Yeah, you only had to suffer for 2.5.
I know. What an angel and a saint that woman is. This episode was written by Daniel Knopf, based on a story idea by Daniel and Dave Metzger, and was directed by Terrence O'Hara. Show notes and other intel for this episode of The Blacklist Exposed can be found at theblacklistexposed.com.
All right. We asked you last week to answer my profiling question, after altered by Aaron, which was, what does Red want with the invention?
Wendy said, I don't think it's the invention. It could be the names on the patent application. That may be of interest to Kirk. They may have expertise in an area that may be helpful to his illness or his business.
That's a good idea. Yeah, because they focused on the names. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So the names might be more important. Melanie said, maybe it will help him tap into a spy satellite so he can find Kirk.
Barbara Tesser, to trade it to Constantine in exchange for Agnes. Well, no, that's not true.
Right.
That's not the case.
It's an easy answer. That's why I asked the question. Marilyn said, since the investors are a man and a woman, maybe it has to do with children/infants. Wondering if Red knows that Agnes isn't totally healthy and his invention could save her if Kirk indeed goes through with the extraction of the stem cells.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if he already did that before he went back. Maybe. Laura says, maybe to have a bargaining chip to entice Kirk in an exchange for Agnes.
All right.
Once again, turns out that's not the case.
No. Leanne said, he needed the invention to create the best New York pizzas in Washington, D.C., a.k.a. Nick's Pizza. Brilliant.
And Linda says, all part of his...
We need to interject here. Chicago pizzas are the best pizzas. Hands down.
I don't know. I don't know about hands. I don't like hands down. Hands down implies that we know better than everybody else. I've had pizza in a lot of places that are better. Seattle pizza is actually really good.
It is.
Have you had it?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Deep dish is still the winner.
Maybe. Linda says it's all part of his evil plan to take over the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably accurate.
Linda said, well, maybe it's not an invention. It's a process or a drug. And I think of inventions as machines. I'm going with something like that, restoring or manipulating memory much more easily than an existing process. I also really like someone else's idea about this being after the people and not the thing.
Neil says it's a bargaining chip with Kirk. It will eliminate the need to use Agnes or Liz. Well, we're just proving this one wrong left and right.
We are. Rachel said, I think it will have something to do with helping Kirk extend his life. And if Red has it, then oops, that can't happen. So sad.
And Brandon says, who wouldn't want to time travel? What?
I'd love a time traveling device. That'd be funny. Timeless crossover, cool. Anybody?
Why not?
Why not? Jerry also said he wants the desalination machine to live undetected in his underwater ocean hideout. Man's got a drink, right?
Sure does. Yeah, sure does.
Well, thanks as always for playing along at home, everyone. And since Agnes is finally safe, everybody cheers in union. So we think the big question now that is on everyone's mind is, where does the story go next?
Yeah, and I will say, do you have a thought on that? I have a thought on that. I'm curious what yours.
I have a thought that the Agnes thing was just a ploy because there is much more to this story that is yet to still be told.
Well, yeah, I think that's obvious. But I think maybe now Kirk is in the box and he can become Red. He can offer up other people and maybe they won't need Red. And then they turns the government on Red. How cool would that be?
Mm-hmm. Your government.
It's your government too.
Not after November 8th.
The sad part is nobody knows which way you mean that.
Exactly right. All right. I have the next game on the Ms. Pac-Man machine, so let's quickly break down this week's case profile.
Okay, and before we get into the actual show, I do want to offer my condolences to the family, friends, and fans of Michael Massey. He played Kirk on the show. He is a wonderful character actor. I've loved his work for a couple of decades, honestly. If you look him up, you will see an astonishing amount of work that you probably didn't even realize he was part of. And I just wanted to say my condolences. Rest in peace, Michael. All right, the Thrushes. Executive Order 13405, which there actually is one signed in June of 2006 when W was taken on the government of Belarus. Our government...
Belarus? Really? Oh my gosh. Do we have to send you back to school?
Why? What did I say?
It's Belarus.
Is it Belarus?
Yes, it's Belarus.
You know what? Just because they've been saying it wrong their entire lives doesn't make me the problem. Belarus, it rolls a little smoother, right? Let's go with that. Let's pull a Troy. Right?
Right.
If we say right, then it must be true. So, right?
Science.
All right. Exactly. That's my line. Don't.
You're stealing mine. I'm stealing yours.
Quack, quack, bitch. All right. Our government freezes assets, basically, and then these cartels and whatnot are powerless to do anything. Well, what Rene LeBron offers is essentially a loan to these men in order to get them through by pocketing, and then he pockets the sanctioned money later. Red captures him, where he finds out that Rene LeBron wants immunity from prosecution and is then promptly assassinated, which is what teaches us and leads us to the Thrushes.
I just want to call out one detail at this point.
Did I pronounce our government incorrectly? Is that what happened?
No. The shooter, notice how they never showed the shooter's face. Again, we have these mysterious snipers. You go back to Vanessa Cruz, mysterious sniper, never found out who the sniper was. Sniper again, never found out who the sniper was. There's something about these snipers. They may become blacklisters later.
Or it could just be Dembe.
No, I think it was a white hand. I think that much we saw.
Oh, we did see it?
Yeah, I was thinking
I don't remember seeing that.
Like if they're purposely hiding their face, there's a reason why they're purposely hiding their face, in my opinion.
Yeah, they haven't cast that part yet.
Exactly. They don't want to pay somebody else on their SAG card or something.
Exactly. I was really bummed that Rene LeBron got assassinated so quick. I thought
he was a great character.
Yeah, it was a really interesting character. I'm like, wait, I hope he's the whole episode, and he wasn't. So, the Thrushes are a crew that hack the un-hackable. 1982, they were created by Bulgarian genius Klemlin Radkov, who was arrested and then died. The Thrushes then went underground and became established hackers who take jobs based on the finances of the targets or the difficulty of the hack. They're basically anonymous for hire. And Alexander Kirk has been keeping tabs in the post office through them. Mm-hmm. So what did you think about this being the crux of our story this week?
I think it's a really cool group. I think it's kind of a shame that we only saw one person of the group, though. I think there could have been a bigger hack story, much more widespread, that we could have seen more of the hackers.
Well, there still could, man. I mean, they're still out in the wind.
I suppose, yeah, they only backdoored into Kirk stuff to find Kirk. They never really backdoored to track down the Thrushes, so maybe we'll see another Thrushes Part 2 in Season 7 or something.
Well, and you've got Elise now, so I mean, there's a potential they can track them down or use them to their benefit at some point. They're definitely, I would assume, going to come back into the story at some point because they're still out there.
Well, so that would be the typical MO of the post office, right? Start using the bad guys against the good guys. It's like a cabal move. Like if they hire the Thrushes to do their own bidding.
It could be.
You
never know.
That actually sounds more like a Gray Matters move. Maybe we'll see the Thrushes over on the spinoff.
What does Breaking Bad have to do with this? What? See? What? I combine the two because they're connected. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we're ever going to see him again, but it's possible because they have Elise in custody and they are still in the wind. So we could easily get them involved in some episode down the road. Easily.
I think that'd be fun, actually. I think both of the Thrushes and LeBron are both characters that I think shined more than the actual story itself in a lot of ways.
How so?
Well, just because they were very interesting. I think they were very interesting blacklistery type people that I want to know more about those characters. I was left wanting to know more about the Thrushes and know more about LeBron and how he works. LeBron could have been like a whole 8-arc episode bad guy in a way.
Yeah, he was really good. I liked him a lot. I mean, that's impressive when an actor makes an impression in like 2 minutes of screen time. And I liked him quite a bit.
But he gone.
He gone, man. He gone. And really, this episode... And I want to say, I called it last week. I don't want to toot my own horn, but toot toot. I said last week that most likely we'll find out who the mole is by the next episode. What happened? What? That's right.
That's because we always said they pay off things quickly.
Yup.
And they did. And unfortunately, it was the sweet girl.
And this is why you need to stop using Alias. Because if this is Alias, it would have played out the entire season.
What, you mean like that entire underground bunker not being APO?
Possibly. I'm just saying.
Just slightly.
This would be an entire season, and they wrapped it up in roughly, a couple episodes. So kudos to you for not dragging this one out. And if it's 24, it might even last for like 2 days. I don't know. I don't even know.
It would be called 48.
It would. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, let's go into our characters. But first, let's get into our music, which includes one of my favorite songs of all time, I might add. But I'll wait till you get there.
I'm curious to see which one it is. Rene LeBron is led by the FBI to his assassination as Juan's Fire on the Mountain is heard. In probably one of my favorite scenes of the entire series, the whole sequence with Dead Man's Party by Oingo Boingo playing.
That's the one.
Oh.
It's a dead man's party. Who could ask for? I love Oingo Boingo, or Boingo as it became in the later years.
Yes.
Danny Elfman is a frickin' genius, man.
I used to do an 80s radio show where he played all 80s music, and so, yeah, that's my jam.
There is a 6-minute version of that song. And it is fantastic. I listen to it when I run sometimes, and it ends up, usually it's the one that I end up falling to because I'm just getting into it.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, Nick's Pizza actually exists and delivers a pie to each of our post office faithful with a classic typewritten invitation from Red. Okoa's treehouse plays behind Samar's meeting with her contact in the cafe. And Aram and Elise duke it out to extreme music's He Haunts Me in Aram's apartment. While Harry Nilsson's One caps off the episode as Samara informs Aram she won't be transferring, while Alexander Kirk is put in the box.
Yeah, the invitations, I mean, they were stamped. I thought it was like Game of Thrones for a second. I'm like, what's going on here? Those look awful official.
They do, and there probably has someone's blood on it, or it was tomato sauce with the wax seal.
I hope so. I hope it was blood. That would be just a nice little touch that was completely unnecessary, but it seems like a Daniel Knopf thing.
Well, there was blood on the last time Red used an invitation, right, with Susan, so.
Yep. What did you, any of those songs stick out? I want to answer this for you. Dead Man's Party.
Well, I mean, Dead Man's Party is a classic. I mean, we grew up with Dead Man's Party, so that's number one on there. And of course, One at the end of the episode was such a perfect fitting tune for the stuff that was on hand, right? Like Samara's. Yeah. Can I talk while you not sing?
No, I'm sorry. I was kind of fine. I mean, let's make this all about you, Troy. That's fine.
Well, Aram obviously feeling a little bit lonely, so he's like the one, and then Samar is there too. So their relationship, I'm interested to see if their relationship's going to go further now, of course, as the season goes along. 2, One being lonely in the box. So yeah, very, very much a poetic song and choice for the end of the episode.
Absolutely. It was a great some great musical choices this week. Let's go into the rest of the characters. Dembe, no real role this week. I mean, he drove a car, but we do get a little bit more Boz, so that was kind of cool to see him back in the fold.
Yeah.
And Oscar and Chester, Red's got a couple of other people on his payroll, and Oscar's basically got a bunch of ninjas that he works with. That was kind of a cool addition. I don't think we've seen Oscar before, have we?
We have not, as far as I can remember. And this was the part of the episode where I was kind of like, holy crap, we're going to get ninjas? This is going to be awesome. and then the ninjas were gone. And I was like, wait, I want more ninjas.
That's kind of what ninjas do, man.
I thought
they hit and quit.
I thought they were going to be the bad guys this week, actually, until Red called them.
That was great. That was a nice little twist, by the way, because I kind of thought the episode was going a certain direction and didn't go.
Right.
Chester, he's kind of like the Aram, but poorly selected. He's just a clumsy, fumbling Aram, is what he seems like.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So I liked him. I liked Oscar. I hope to see both of them back at some point. in just these random spots, not necessarily like a big episode or anything, but just these random spots. They were kind of fun characters.
They are, absolutely. I mean, Brimley and Glenn are always great, but it's nice to see that the team is evolving and expanding, especially with Red's new, control of the Cabal. He has much more resources.
He sure does. Moving on to Cooper. Boy, this one had to piss you off. So he talks to Liz, and one of the things that has been bugging Troy all season is that Cooper and Liz have never had this conversation about Liz faking her death and letting Cooper believe it, because Troy thinks that he would have to have that conversation because he's Troy and he just thinks he knows everybody.
Because Cooper gave that heartwarming, heart-touching eulogy, unless it was all staged, like we said a few weeks ago.
Well, he does talk to Liz, and Liz confides, about her frustration with Red, and they still don't have the conversation. So did this bother you? Is this still a thing for you, or are you finally over it?
No, because now I've convinced myself of my own theory that Cooper was in on the death in the first place.
But he wasn't.
Well, we don't know that.
No, we do know that.
We don't know that.
We do know that.
We don't know that. He could have said everything he said in the way he said the speech, right? We know where Liz is. She's right in our hearts. And then he walks by Tom, and then Tom smiles a little bit. Could be connected. Could be connected.
Okay, I guess you're right. It's possible that he knew. It's possible.
If not,
I really don't. This isn't something I care about, but you do. So,
if there's supposedly this father-daughter type figure situation, Cooper would be the most pissed off at Liz, I think, out of the entire group, more than even Samara. So that's why the conversation either has to happen or Cooper's in on it, because there's literally two extremes here.
Absolutely. We do get when he talks to Panabaker, I love where she's throwing her witticisms out at him, and she's like, "Do you understand?" Not a word. Absolute gibberish. That's one of my favorite lines of the episode, by the way.
So that means Cooper is not the outdoors type.
No, I wouldn't imagine that he is. He is okay with letting Aram get played this episode. I don't know if that bothered you. Were you okay with that? Did you feel like, man, that's not cool?
I was okay with Aram getting played. I probably was more on the Panabaker side of, you really want to keep this drip trickling so that we can expose more of the country?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% on
that part was a little bit far-fetched.
Yeah. That's where we go. Definitely TV. Because if that was the government, you better have shut that down. I mean, right now.
We had a thing at work where I got shut down. Literally called up, was cut that link, cut the cord, do it now. I was like, okay, sounds good. Done.
Yeah, usually use it to track them, but feed them misinformation or something. I mean, you could do that, I suppose. But
yeah, you could actually leave the thing open, but reroute it to a fake server that's giving fake data, but don't let it keep going into the actual system.
Right. You don't know what they're pulling. But hey, it was fun. I get it. His conversation with Cooper, Red has a nice conversation with Cooper that makes me wonder if Cooper did in fact know Liz's secret, like her actual secret with her history with Red. Did you get that from that sit down with them?
I totally got that vibe. I'm like, they're talking like they're best bros, like they kind of formulated the whole thing together, which would ruin your theory then that he was behind it all. But
doesn't ruin my theory at all, bub. Doesn't ruin my theory at all. My theory is that Cooper, and for people that might not have listened, I have a theory that potentially Cooper was involved. I'm not saying that he was complicit, like he intended to hurt Red, but he was involved in whatever ended up affecting or hurting Red at some point. And, and maybe directly or indirectly. And this doesn't change that. He might not even know that he was involved in it. I don't know, but I think he does. My opinion. This is just something I'm going. I just think it would be a cool twist. That's all.
But this conversation definitely was very, I guess you could say, telling in a way, because Red just seems to be openly chatting with Cooper enough that it would make you believe that Cooper at least knows some of the details, if not a lot of the details.
But it's definitely written in a way that could go either way.
It wouldn't be the Blacklist if it wasn't.
Exactly. That's true. Absolutely true.
By the end of this episode, you're going to believe that Wright is actually left and then debate about it for 3 seasons to come.
It is. Isn't it? Couldn't it be? It could be. I think it could be. All right. That's about all we got from Cooper. Kaplan still being held by the Mountain Man.
What do we keep calling the Mountain Man? That's what I want to know.
Does he have a name?
Well, he doesn't have a name, but he doesn't live in a mountain. He's in a forest. Can he be the tree man, the forest man?
Well, because
The
in
GoPro
Deliverance,
Rock Man?
in Deliverance, they're kind of called the Mountain Man, so that's what I go with. Because he does remind me a little bit of a squeal like a pig kind of fella.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he does. What do you think about this particular storyline?
Well, I love that they almost got your line in this week. Like, are you playing games with me? It was close, but not quite, but it was close.
It was close. I think the character's name is Hunter. He just goes by Hunter. Is Leon Rippey, and he goes by Hunter. That's his character name.
Well, it sounds a better name. It sounds like a better name for the dog.
Mountain Man's cooler.
Mountain Man is way cooler.
Way cooler.
At this point, after seeing this now, this is the third time we've seen her with the Mountain Man?
Something like that, yeah.
I need the Mountain Man story to move quickly.
Because?
It just, it doesn't fit into the other architecture of the show, so it almost takes away from the rest of the show by having to cut to that sequence just for a short period of time. The other thing is that it just seems to be setting up something for the future, and you could set it up in one episode and not have to set it up over 3 or 4 episodes. So at this point, it's almost like Baby Agnes at this point. I need it to move in the next episode, or don't show it to me anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's cool that he gets dates with ladies by chaining them to the bed. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because that's how I do it too, or used to when I was single. But I do need it to move along. I mean, I don't know what direction I want it to go. I just want it to go somewhere. I think we've seen her chained to the bed for a few too many weeks now. Let's go.
Is this our problem, though? I'm just curious, because we're saying, I want it now, I want it now, I want it. Have we become that society where it's like on demand, binge watch, instant microwave, instant popcorn, instant? Is it our issue that we can't just enjoy the long play anymore?
I do think there's some of that to some degree. I don't think with this particular storyline, though. I think not enough is happening with it to make it intriguing or really exciting. So it's not something that I really need to see layers unfold, because it seems, unless something drastic changes, seems like a very basic concept. It seems like something we've seen in movies and TV shows, 20 times before. So the Mountain Man concept where you stumble into the mountains and somebody takes you. 24 happened in 24. I mean, remember that? Mm-hmm. She ended up with a cougar. If Kaplan ends up with a cougar, I'm going to be pretty pissed off.
Yep.
I don't think that would happen here, but I do think it's one of those things where, okay, we've had a few episodes. It needs to move along. And I think it did move a little bit this week because, he found out that she was lying, but I think that could have happened, last week. So I think it's one of those things where they're building to the fall finale, and as long as it's resolved by then, I'm good with it. But if it goes on beyond that, then I would probably have an issue with it to a degree.
So now he clearly has resources. So I'm going back to another potential FBI/CIA show, which was Covert Affairs with Piper Perabo on USA. And she had to go into the woods to find a guy who was...
You mean from Coyote Ugly?
Yeah. And she was awesome. She was like the new Sydney Bristow.
I never watched the show.
It's a great show.
What? Better than Sydney Bristow?
No, she was she not. She says the next Sydney Bristow.
Okay. All right.
The original is always the best.
Absolutely.
Adam West. Okay. So...
Okay. There's always an exception to every rule.
So the question is
Troy's question.
This person a former CIA spy? He seems to have a lot of gadgets, a lot of way to hide his gadgets, to keep an eye on his territory. Could he have potentially been a spook? And now he just doesn't want to work for the government, our government, so he wants to live off the grid and not be bothered, and he doesn't want people to come find him. So is there a potential that he has a larger thing that could play into maybe Red's storyline, maybe Cooper's storyline? Who knows?
I think that's a stretch, probably. I mean, the guy's a hunter in the middle of the woods. Motion-activated cameras could be to detect animal life, wildlife, or it could be just for his own security. Maybe he's a former agent that was planted that just went into hiding or something. I guess that's possible. I know some people are theorizing that Red put him there to find Kappa. I think that's a stretch. I think if somebody shoots you in the eye or in the face, they're trying to kill you. And I really don't see any way around that. I just don't.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's just a thought. I mean, One thing is motion-activated cameras sitting in the tree. Another thing is motion-activated cameras hidden inside of a rock. Hidden inside of a tree.
Is that what it was hidden inside of a rock inside of a tree?
Yeah. He had a rock that was kind of wedged in between that two tree branches, and he pulled the rock out, and he like flipped open the rock, and the camera was inside the rock.
All right. There's a little more to that then. Good call. I probably just grazed over that. I was too busy going, Aram.
Or he's a UFO chaser because he's just paranoid like that.
Okay, now you're really reaching. Now you're going full Heinrichs. That's what happened there. No, he's not a UFO chaser because they land amongst the trees.
That's right.
Nerd.
He wants to be right where they are.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully, by the fall finale, we get some resolution on this.
Only 2 to go.
Or advancement of some kind. Let's move on to wrestler who once again is getting shortchanged. Let's give the man something to do. Right?
Well, he can't. We took away his potential obsession.
Elise.
Elise.
I knew she was too hot for him. Ouch.
Yeah, because
That's a
I
burn,
want her.
Man. That's a burn. That is a burn. I'm kind of callous about. He was kind of callous about Aram.
A little bit.
Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, that's supposed to be kind of his friend, isn't he? I mean, I know he's not really his friend, but he's kind of his friend.
That would be an interesting dynamic to see. Like, we know that Samara and Aram used to hang out and whatever. It'd be interesting to see what Wrestler and Aram do. Like, do they play video games? Do they just hang out and watch sports? It doesn't seem like Aram's the kind of guy that would hang out with Wrestler.
Well, no, I think that's obvious. I think Wrestler's the typical jock and, pretty boy jock, and he's looking at Aram as the nerd who doesn't deserve this hot girl.
Agree 100%.
Yeah, which is the wrong way to look at it, because I hate to tell you, it's 2016. I see a lot of hot girls with some nerds these days. Mm-hmm. More nerds than jocks, I might say. So, what are you going to do? He does sound like a gerbil on meth. I agree with that statement, sir.
Great line.
It seemed accurate. Oh, wrestler gets some great lines. And his hair didn't move this entire episode. Megan, when are you going to ruffle it up?
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm still waiting.
Hashtag Diego Hair Challenge, people. Get it trending on Twitter again.
But once again, he doesn't get a whole lot to do this episode. Wrestler does look right at Samara when Aram says he's in love with someone else, so I think it's obvious to everyone that Aram loves Samara. Don't you think at this point?
Oh, for sure. And I would even go as far as saying maybe Samara loves Aram, but just doesn't want to show it because she's got that, fortress of solitude that she has to maintain.
I think she did show it a little bit this week, but we'll get there in a second. So Elise, well, we finally got some I told you, that was quick. We already know she's the mole. That took exactly one episode. So all the people that guessed her was the mole are correct. I think we all kind of thought that. I was just kind of going a little more bolder with my predictions, but it didn't end up being Samara, which I thought would have been a cool twist. Oh, well. She does love Stranger Things, which kind of automatically makes her a little bit more awesome than I thought she was.
More importantly, I thought this was great because when I was out in L.A. Talking to the Johns, we were sitting there with some of the writers as we were waiting to wrap up. That's all we were talking about was Stranger Things. So that was so awesome to see it show up in the episode. That was funny.
I think it's all everybody talked about this whole year, man. That's been a phenomenal show.
I know.
Phenomenal show. Probably because it only had 8 episodes. So, it's a lot easier to make something phenomenal in a shortened span than it is, 22 or whatever.
More importantly, that show is phenomenal because every scene in the show, almost every scene in the show, was a scene in another movie that we absolutely loved growing up as kids.
That's true.
So it was playing on our emotions and pulling back on those heartstrings.
If you have a nostalgia bone, it was tickling the hell out of it, is why.
There is a Vimeo video that actually shows the original scene from an original movie and how it's literally shot by shot a recreation of that scene. So if you want to check that out, if you're a Stranger Things fan, check it out. It's pretty cool.
There's also an awesome Peanuts mashup that is great. That does Stranger Things as a Peanuts cartoon.
Are you kidding? I have not seen that. That's awesome.
It's fantastic.
You'll have to send that to me later.
I love it. Oh,
let's just talk about Stranger Things for the next half hour.
I could do it. And mesh it in with, bring it back to Blacklist somehow. We'll have to figure out how to connect them. Was Winona Ryder in an episode yet? She's got to be there somewhere.
Oh, that'd be a sweet crossover then. So if it's like Stranger Things, but it's a Blacklist episode, and then the Blacklister does what the guy in Stranger Things, the thing in Stranger Things does, then it's X-Files again. And we're back to Mulder and Scully. The end.
I don't even know what you just did, but it hurt my head. Let's go back to Elise. I don't know if she's 11. Aram. I'd probably give her about 7. About a 7.
Dang.
11. That's pretty high up there.
She like hurdled a couch. And then like,
all right, 7.5. All right, she moves up because she can hurdle a couch. It's pretty impressive. That was the actress. That wasn't a stunt double.
No,
So-
there's no way to edit that out. It clearly looked like her. So good job for Anne.
Yeah, that was great. And I think she's probably still going to be in the show. Would you agree with that?
I hope so. I think she's fun. You know, the actress, the character. I think it's actually a great add to the list. So I would hope we see her again. Get her working on the team side, for example. The little, I mean, granted, it would be soap opera, but you can have some office dynamic there. But you know,
well, I don't know if you. Well, I guess she could come back to offer information about Kirk or to help track down the Thrushes or something like that. So there's definitely potential where she could come back, and she is alive and in custody.
correct.
And it would have a little bit of a triangle dynamic because you've got Aram, who's obviously still going to be hurt and angry about this, and you have Samara, who just wants to mess that bitch up.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of angles, and there's Wrestler who wants to date her.
Yes,
Still,
exactly.
still, that's pretty funny.
That's another great wrestler line, right? Like, I got this. Samara's just going to shoot her in the head right there, and wrestler's like, "Nah, man, she's mine."
The only thing okay, I know this is a stupid point to bring up, but if you're trying to go under the radar and remain hidden under the grid or whatever the term is, would you really have a Facebook profile? It seems like that's pretty public. I don't know if you would actually have one of those, even if it is falsified.
There's a lot of people that falsify the Facebooks. Maybe,
What?
Yeah.
What? I think everyone looks just like their profile picture. I know I do when I'm standing outside NASA. That's me. I swear to God, that's me.
The same 10 people try to hack the group every Thursday.
All right. Well, Elise got busted. Let's move to Samara. Well, she'll come up as we talk about Samara and Aram, obviously. Samara, she reaches out to contacts and identifies Elise as the mole, which confirms what she said last week, that there's something wrong with that girl.
Yep. Even Aram said there was something off, right?
Well, he did this week.
She's a little bit, I'm a 4.
Which is wrong. I would disagree, Aram. You're a very attractive man.
Yeah.
Who else is bummed that we didn't get to see Samara mess that bitch up, though? I was really looking forward to that.
Me. Ooh, pick me.
I mean, I think that's the predictable response, but it could have been great. She's just beating her ass for the hell of it, you know? Because she never loses her composure. Like her face never moves or anything. She's just beating the hell out of her. Ding, ding, ding.
That's why I was hoping when Donald said, "I got this," I was just hoping for just like a right house, or, you know, what do you call that? A right-handed hook, a roundhouse. There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
Absolutely. She was definitely waiting for her. Like, go ahead, move. 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 Oh, and I do want to point out Sophie in our Facebook group. She wanted to say that we kind of rejected the idea that Elise was the mole in our podcast. I don't think we rejected it so much as we were trying to look at other options.
Because it was the obvious choice.
Yeah, it was the obvious choice. So if we came across that way, it's not that we didn't think Elise was the mole. I think most people thought that. It's just more that we felt like, let's throw some other theories out there as opposed to what we all kind of went with.
So does it
sometimes the obvious is the case, you know?
Does it bother you that it was obvious? Or do you say, "Oh, see, the Blacklist is awesome because they knew that we wouldn't think that it was the obvious choice, so we're going to make it the obvious choice because they're going to look somewhere else"?
It's fine. It's good because it's not one of our characters, so I don't have to have my heart broken. But on the same token, it was kind of obvious. But I will say, I'm okay with obvious if they do it quick. If they would have had like 6 episodes where we're debating about who the mole is and then it ends up being Elise, I would probably be irritated about it.
I agree with 100%.
Yeah, they wrapped it up pretty quick, so I'm okay with it. I do want to say there is a moment in the van down by the river where they have a moment between Samara and Aram, and she gives him a little peck on the cheek, and it was a little bit of a heartbreak. It was, oh.
You say heart. No? You say heartbreak. I say heart flutter. Like heartbreak is like depression and, oh my God, I got to eat ice cream all day.
Well, I'm broken as a man is what the problem is.
Yeah.
Okay. However, I saw it as my heart went pitter patter.
Yes.
How's that?
There
Is
you
that
go.
better?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And I was just very, very happy that we finally have our favorite romantic-ish relationship back on track. And I say favorite, and I mean it.
I want to see...
Mine isn't Liz and Tom. Mine is Samara and Aram.
Yeah, we ship these guys all the way.
Yep. Were you happy to see that back on track?
150%. You can even go days of our lives. I want to see this happen, and I want to see it happen by the end of the season.
Does it still... Because me personally, this cemented that I'm 100% accurate that when Aram snapped on her a few episodes ago, that was completely out of character.
No. If you're 100% in love with somebody, you always you lash out at the people you love the most when you're frustrated. I mean, it's just a way of life. It sucks that it's the way of life, but that's the way of life. When you're pissed off, you always take it out on the people you love. So I think that his response is 100% on point. And I think that was her wake-up call, because you kind of see her kind of shake it off. Now, the immediately following next episode, when it was all kind of like, hunky-dory kind of thing, that I think was the no-no. But the conversation when he slams the door on her, absolutely 100% on point.
All right.
He's in that conversation, he's basically saying, I can't believe you are so flippin' blind, woman.
Why can't you see I'm the one?
You're the stoic one, and you can't even see past your own grief and guilt to see what's in front of you.
Wow.
Bam.
You really have this worked up in your head.
I do.
You're a nut. All right. So everybody stay away from Troy. He's dangerous. This is why he's been married to somebody else for 14 years.
Hashtag Saram. 100%.
Saram? Is that the shipper name? Saram?
Yep, I believe so.
I don't like that. Can we come up with something better? Ramar. I don't know. I'm kind of curious what cool names that our people can come up with, our listeners.
Amar would be like Amor, so it's close.
See? Like love?
Like love.
Exactly. That's what I'm going with.
No, but it's Saram. It's been on Twitter, I believe.
Just because it's on Twitter doesn't make it so, man. That ain't science. Yeah? There was stuff on Vine. Guess what happened to that? That's right. Down.
Whoa!
Got shut
so
down.
So early. The pain. I could feel the twisting knife.
Too soon. Bye, Vine. And your whopping 7 seconds of joy. Aram, quack, quack, bitch. Best line of... I don't even know why, because it's so cheesy and reminds me of like a Schwarzenegger 80s flick. But everybody is talking about quack, quack, bitch.
Well, if we grew up in the 80s and we watched all those Schwarzenegger flicks, that's why it's an awesome line.
It was great. And it's just like, what? No, he did not. No, he did not. This handsome, smart, incredibly nice guy who's easy to be around was completely duped. And I completely understand why he would have been, because he's the person that wears his heart on his sleeve, like Rustler said. But he does figure out that he was played, and he is very, very upset. Do you think it was okay that they were going to... I know we talked about Cooper, but do you think it was okay that everybody was willing to keep it from Aram?
They didn't really get a chance to keep it from Aram.
I know, but they were going to, though.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
100%. They're doing their job, right? So what's great about this entire sequence is that they're doing their job to exploit the leak in order to get information to fix the problem. Aram comes in. Here, Samar is basically yelling at him, you're too soft because you didn't push the button, and Harold had to push the button for you to bring down Gaia's chopper. He literally comes in and he says, yeah, I got duped. I got played. My responsibility. I'm going to fix it. I got my own rubber ducky. So he's back on point to say that my job comes first. So absolutely, it's fine. Because if they were going to do what they need to do the job, he's doing what he needed to do to do the job, I think it would have been fine.
I do like the use this. Rubber ducky is actually a thing. So that's kind of cool that they incorporated it. I've had listeners ask me, is that really a thing? Yeah, it's really a thing.
It's really a thing.
Yep. He sets up Elise himself. He did it. He went against his good guy nature, and he set her up. And when she discovers he's onto her, he puts the ram in Aram by kicking her ass for like a second before she really flips over a couch, and he's yelling banana every 5 seconds. Banana! Banana! Banana!
What's great about this sequence, though, is that he does sound like he's in distress, like he's not able to do it. And then as you keep watching the scene, you're kind of wondering, is he being quirky and uneasy on purpose, Because when he does the whole wine thing, like, "Ooh, I spilled wine on my shirt. I got to go change my shirt now." I mean, granted, it's kind of a trope, but at the same time, was he doing it on purpose to get to that so he could find a way to get to her notebook? So even though Ressler thinks he sounded like an idiot, was he actually doing it, as part of his craftily design to get to the notebook?
All I got from what you're talking about, that scene when he goes to take his shirt off, is that Aram has a little bit of a Wahlberg ab thing going on. He's he's crafted in the ab department. So he's definitely, this nerd exercises is what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, you keep running and you keep hurting yourself. I keep telling you, cycling is the way to go. And there, Aram is proof.
I don't think you get abs like that from just cycling.
You do, man. You got to be hunched over. You tighten up your core as you're biking. It's a really great workout.
Well, apparently he does it quite a bit because the abs were like, they were there. This might sound like I'm coming down with an affection for him, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. So, banana. We move on. Banana is a great code word. I started to actually, I replayed that scene several times. I was going to count how many bananas I heard, but it just kept going. So I couldn't decide what the number was. I'm just like, a lot. That's what I went with. A lot. That was great.
We were just confused because you should have said plantain.
Kirk. Let's move on to Kirk. He looks genuinely surprised at the DNA results. Does he not?
Uh-huh.
What'd you think about that one? Because he has a... Wait, what? Huh?
DNA results? I didn't put those there.
Yeah, he had Scooby-Doo face. What do you think that means, man?
Well, there was also that scene where his henchman comes in. I think it was in the steam room, and you said your plan to convert Masha is working or something like that. And I was like, a plan? What? A plan? Is he not her dad? What?
I wonder if it's possible that, go with me, okay?
This is the part of the show, people, where we don't believe what was on the TV.
No. Hang on. Where is it possible? Remember, Red had some involvement in the papers. Was it last season or earlier this season? When was it? When he got the full...
You're thinking about the Paktoba Rostova file that you couldn't pronounce properly?
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Is it possible Red planted those DNA results to get him in, to get him to come in?
Possible. My thought was when he opened up the file and said, well, this isn't good, that he actually saw the real DNA results were the same DNA results.
Or that maybe somebody already doctored them, so they already fixed them. Now, do you think the DNA results are fixed, is I guess what the ultimate question. Do you think he's actually her father or not? Make a decision.
If I look what's on the screen, as it was presented this evening, I did not think so up until the ending, when he literally sacrifices himself to give Agnes back to Liz. At that moment, I am 65% convinced that he is the biological father.
65, huh?
Yeah. More than 50. I still won't believe it. I won't believe anything on the show until the show's over.
I actually believed he was the father until he made that face at the DNA results. And I think that means that he's not. I think that report was doctored and planted, and that's what I'm going with at this time. I actually thought, well, he's got to be the dad, right? Because we should take him at face value, and I think John said that when you interviewed him at the end of last year. You got to take him at face value. He says he's the dad. You get a DNA result, that usually confirms everything. But on this show, that doesn't mean jack, because everybody's planting stuff, and everybody's a mole. We don't know what's going on.
Well, Red even says it to Liz, right, in that conversation. Like, you can believe a DNA test, something so easily faked?
Exactly. I think that was maybe planted so that Red could use that to lure him if need be. That's what I think that was.
And I agree that the DNA test, and that I never believed 100% that the DNA test would prove the biological fatherness concept. Him stepping off the ledge and handing Agnes to Liz, that convinces me, because what is the purpose of him giving himself up? Now, that's the bigger question. Maybe we should change the profiling question to that. Like, why would he turn himself in if he's not the biological dad? Because there's some other thing he's trying to accomplish by doing that?
Well, people can answer whatever they want to answer.
Right.
Do whatever they want. Here's what I think. maybe he has a reason to get into the post office. Like I said earlier, maybe he's going to try and get Red off the post office because he's going to offer up information to get asylum or whatever, kind of like Red's deal. And then it puts Red in the wins against the government. I think that's a possibility. You never know.
That'd be an interesting twist to the show.
I think it would be kind of cool, man, because then the government's like, we decided we don't trust Reddington. And Kirk, we can trust a little bit more. We're going to use him. Wouldn't that be a cool twist? I think so.
He showed trustworthiness by handing over the baby, so yeah.
I disagree with you on this, man. I don't think that showed... He was going to jump off the damn building with the kid. He was going to kill the baby to protect him from Reddington. That sounds more like a revenge thing. That doesn't sound like a grandfatherly thing.
It's a revenge thing on Reddington, but then when Liz is there pleading and using Russian language... And, calling to his, if you truly loved me, if you are my father, do this for me. Let me have my child.
Sparky, if he's really the grandpa, you don't need Liz to convince him to not jump off a roof with a baby. That's what I'm saying. If he's really the grandpa, you don't need Liz pleading with him to convince him to not jump. You would never put yourself in that predicament with the baby at all. Because that's a horrible human being thing to do.
Unless he already did the procedure, got what he needed. And that goes back to the profiling question of why Katerina was crying, was that she knew that he would only use the kids to save his own life because he never actually liked the kids in the first place.
I think that's probably the case. But I'm saying, well, I guess, okay. So either way, I'm saying he's not a good person. He's a crappy person because he was willing to sacrifice that baby. As much as some people might be okay with Agnes, off the show, that would be a really despicable and horrible thing to do. And I don't know if that would be the way to go. I definitely know that means that he is an awful person. I don't care what Liz had to do to get him off that ledge.
I know you were secretly saying, jump, I dare you.
I had a moment. But that everybody that knows me even a little bit knows I just don't like babies on TV shows. In Walking Dead, every single week, I'm like, Judith would be a great frag grenade every week. They haven't done it yet, but I'm waiting. I'm hoping somebody does it. It'd be great. I'm just not a baby guy. I've already raised two, and when you have them, you kind of get over it. But that would be horrible. I don't want to see that in a TV show. It's just more something I say to be funny than I really mean. But it showed me who his character was, and that's what was really important.
Right.
And by the end of the episode, we end up with his ass in that same box that Reddington used to sleep in.
Excited to see the box again?
Do they just keep it in a storage locker? I mean, it's the exact same box, so I assume they didn't recreate it. They kept it, right?
Oh, yeah. They have it on a set somewhere, just hanging out in New York.
Yeah. I love that box, man. And every time you bring it back, it brings back a little bit of a memory. You've got Reddington in there, you've got the imposter in there, and now you've got Kirk in there. So I'm curious where that's going to go, and I think we're going to find out soon. All right, Red. Moving on to Red. He orchestrates the coolest Halloween party ever because, A, we got Dead Man's Party playing, and a Miss Pac-Man machine. We find out Red likes Miss Pac-Man.
Who doesn't?
I'm more partial to the regular Pac-Man. The original. Go with the original. That's what I say. Just because he was your mother's husband doesn't make him your father. I think we've talked about that a lot. We agree with that. Just because you're married to someone doesn't make you the father. Just because you're biological doesn't make you the father. It's whoever raises you is the father. And did you see that there was a moment where Liz brings up that he raised me for a couple, as a child, and Reddington just has a look on his face. I don't know if that look means anything, but he has a look on his face like he wants to say something, but he can't. Am I wrong?
He has that look for the entire series. I want to tell you, but I can't tell you because if I tell you, your life would be in jeopardy.
It's more like if I tell you, then the show's over. So we're going to hold out a little bit longer. So do you think that was he wanted to stop her? Do you think Constantine ever raised her at all?
Well, I think that answer was clearly given, right? When you handed her to me as a baby, when Red was talking to Kaplan in the second episode. Mm-hmm. So yep. I don't think Kirk ever raised her, to be quite honest.
I don't either.
And she's talking about the memories, and we planted a coffee can in the yard, the time capsule in the yard. It's like you planted it with your mom. You didn't plant it with Kirk. You're now fabricating stories in your head to make something true that you want to be true, which I think is a dangerous slope for Liz's character.
Association. Association is the worst memory.
Right.
Because you want things to be a certain way, so you're seeing them that way. It's important to point that out. Yes, they went to this house that Kirk says that was his, but Kirk wasn't there. Constantine wasn't in her memory. Only her mom was.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which is why Red knows about the Crystal Palace, the Summer Palace.
Exactly. And he's probably been there.
Mm-hmm.
Lizzie, I've never lied to you, gets reiterated yet again. You still believe that mantra? It's kind of the crux of the show, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. Why? But I will say, maybe he hasn't lied, but he sure words stuff creatively.
Well, and that's the thing here. In this sequence, he says, just because he was your mother's husband doesn't make him your father. He didn't say biological father in that sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He said, doesn't make him your father. So when Red in the end of season 1 says, your father is dead, he could say he's not lying because he in that moment is referring to Sam, because Sam is the one that raised her. In that case, that is the truth. Right?
Yep.
And when Tom says and when Tom says your father's still alive, her biological father absolutely could still be alive. And both could be true.
Banana, you're hurting my head. Banana. Somebody come in and save me. There's too much stuff in my head now. By the way, I'm going to use that as a code word every time I'm in trouble from now on. I'm just going to yell banana and see if anyone eventually helps.
Nope. Not me.
I didn't think so. Why was Kirk never really on Red's list? When he talks about it, he says because it would, because Cooper basically throws it back to him. If anyone deserves to be on that list, it's Kirk. And Red says, nope, he was never on it because it would have to increase security measures, et cetera, et cetera. Do you believe that, or do you think there's another reason for that?
I think we got that answer in Cape May.
Please elaborate.
Well, in Cape May, he says that I couldn't kill the father. He could have killed Kirk at that point, if Kirk is technically the father. So he could have killed Kirk, but to take away the daughter's father when her mother was already gone, that would be a mortal sin. So because of that, that's why Red never put him on his list. Or we still don't know exactly what the list is all about. And therefore, the list doesn't apply to this entire who's the father situation. Remember, there's still a ton of open storylines that have not even been approached by the writer's room that need to be fleshed out yet.
I think we've established the list. I mean, it's basically anybody that interferes with, there have been exceptions. So,
but interferes with a plan. We just don't know what that plan is. We assume it's the father relationship backstory plan, because that's what we've been set up by the marketing department to listen to for this entire 4th season. But at the end of the day, you still have, the bombing in Russia, something's happening in 2017. Why did we learn about Senator Diaz, and his bid for presidency and the presidential election with inauguration in 2017. I mean, they're just the what happened to Red's family. Why is Naomi there? Why is Jennifer there? What happened to Hudson? I mean, all those storylines are still dangling participles that have yet to be explored, and we're just focused on this one sliver that opens up the door to the rest of that being answered.
All right, sir. I get what you're saying. I just try to ignore it most of the time. Okay, so we move on from there, and we do get the scene at the end between Red and we're going to Liz here in a minute, but we get the scene with Red and Kirk on top of the roof, where in my mind I see someone who cares about this child and someone who doesn't care about this child. Kirk being someone who doesn't give a rat's ass about this child because they're willing to jump off the roof and kill her. And Red being the one who will, because he points out that it's madness, Constantine. It's madness. And even after Kirk shoots him, which, really bad shot, by the way, but even after Kirk shoots him, Red still wants to save that baby. That says to me, Red is the guy that, and I know people, we've always said that it's Spader, da-da-da. But, once again, Red is also a bad guy too. But it shows that he is the only one of these two that really has a genuine concern for this child, not his personal interest, I think.
But the same concept still applies, is that, you can't trust me, I'm a criminal, all the way back in season 1, the first episode. And maybe he has his own nefarious things that he needs the child for. Maybe. We're just under this guise of the smokescreen of we're supposed to hate Kirk, therefore we don't see what's actually happening right in front of us.
Well, Liz isn't under that guise at all. Because, okay, let's go on the list. So empire building takes precedence. That was a very important thing, I think, for her to say. I really think her character has become much stronger this season. I know a lot of people have complained about her in the past, but I really like what they've done with Liz this season. I think she is developed into somebody who's not taking any more grief from anybody. She's going to play people just as much as she's being played. And I respect that. I like that. And I like that she's acknowledging that Red has been playing her for too long and she's tired of it.
My favorite part of Megan playing the character this year is all the snarky lines she gets to say.
Yeah, and it's not like the snarky kind of, it's not where it sounds snotty. It's
not
stuff I can get behind.
Whiny snarky. It's like creative, mischievous snarky. It's like a daughter snarky. Like,
not to say that it is, but it sure sounds that way.
Right? I just need watchtowers and barbed wire fence.
She brings up the DNA, the memories. Basically, he's my daddy. These are all things that have shown to be easily manipulated. The memories, especially because you blocked them out. You brought them back. You don't know what you remember. I think by the end of the fall finale, we'll probably get a much deeper indication as to what her memories really are. That's my personal opinion.
I think you're going to get a giant-ass cliffhanger and have to wait like 3 months for an answer.
Maybe. You might. But I think we're going to get something. I think we're going to get some answers by the fall finale that will make some sense. But also more questions, because that's what happens. The DNA, I think we're going to get a bigger seed planted in terms of to doubt it. I think that's a possibility. But, I really like Liz's angle here. I really like how she's refusing to just accept things like she has for a couple of years. She's not just going with the flow. She's trying to take back control of her life. And she also wants both Kirk and Red alive. Both of them. She admits to Red that she doesn't trust him, but she also still protects him to a degree. But she also wants to protect Kirk. Now, what did you think about this? That she's trying to keep both of them alive. She's trying to protect her history.
Because she wants to get an answer. So she's protecting whoever's going to give her an answer. And the two people that she knows at this point that can give her an answer is Reddington and Kirk. Because she's not aware that Kaplan and Dembe know the history too. Otherwise, she can just go to like, Dembe, dude, spill the beans. Come on. Mm-hmm. But let's just go get a beer and watch the Steelers.
Watch the Steelers. Yeah. So it's did I even mention Tom? If I did, I don't remember, but he didn't have much of a role this week. He's just kind of, moral support.
I wasn't going to say anything because you said he wasn't really on the show and you just kind of skipped over him, so he really wasn't in the podcast either.
Well, he really wasn't in the show this week. So, I mean, it's a very, very minor role. He's probably like doing some prep on Redemption or something.
Can I ask one question though about Tom?
You can. It's our podcast, Troy. You can ask as many as you want because I don't really have a choice. So
we don't actually see Tom getting an invite to where Red and those guys are. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, he could have just known because Liz knew because she was in on it because she understood that there was the breach. But Tom's not there at the initial debriefing session. Mm-hmm. And then later on, Tom just kind of like happenstancely walks in. I thought that was kind of weird.
Well, Liz was in on it too, so I'm sure he was already there.
Right.
He already had pre-approval.
Pre-approval. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would go with. It makes sense. Ryan was busy with Famke. That's what was going on.
Yep.
He's getting ready for that spinoff. It's a coming. Okay, so Liz, going back to Liz, she speaks a whole lot of Russian in this episode, by the way. A lot.
She does.
Of Russian. Yeah. So she's been prepping, been getting ready.
Which doesn't necessarily make her Russian. She can learn Russian just for her job, just like Samara knows like 150 languages.
Mm-hmm. I don't think there are 150 languages, are there?
I don't know. Samara just seems
making up facts.
Well, Samara just seems to know a lot of them. I can't keep count anymore.
She's smarter than you. Science. Kirk brings Agnes, and obviously, I think he knows he was being set up. That seems to be obvious to me, anyway. Mm-hmm. But I could be wrong. But then he threatens to jump off the building, and then Liz talks him down. Now, if I'm Liz, I stop thinking this guy is a good guy at this point. Like, I know she was starting to be on his side a little bit, but my God, the guy was going to kill my daughter. I'm done with you. I'm done. We got nothing to talk about. I don't even care if you came down. You were going to jump.
Well, I think in that moment, I think maybe her perception changes. Granted, she still doesn't trust Reddington, but because she's seeing that he's willing to kill my daughter, and he had to plea to his senses, then maybe in next week's episode, not to give spoilers or trailers or anything like that, but I'm just saying, loosely, that maybe now she's going to say, the only reason I want Kirk is because Kirk has answers I need, not so much that I want to have a relationship with Kirk. There's a difference there.
Well, she did say that when she was talking to Tom.
Right.
She did say that. So she did say he can unlock the history. But once again, I'm just saying the guy was going to jump off the building with the kid, and that's just disturbing to me. I mean, that's even a possibility in someone's mind. It's just awful. I want to make sure Reddington never touches my granddaughter. Come on, man. That's still sick. I don't care. Red's not wrong. That is madness. Absolute madness.
And that's the question that I think is the better answer than if she's the father, not father, or whatever. The bigger question is, why would he be willing to go to such lengths to prevent Reddington, of all people, to see this child, to touch this child, to be with this child? That storyline is the storyline that's the whole crux of the show. That's the storyline we want to see answered, not the father thing.
I think, my personal opinion, it's more about you took my woman from me than it is about these kids.
It's just surface garbage.
Maybe. You think it's more about the business?
This is just a giant pissing match between two guys fighting over a girl? Well, I mean,
yeah, guys are stupid, man. Guys are stupid.
I guess technically you have a giant pissing match between Kirk and Red fighting over a girl.
Yeah, and it, basically
fighting
now it's the
Liz.
daughter.
Right.
Yeah, now it's the daughter. So absolutely, can be a factor. Liz trusted Red enough to get Agnes back, so that's interesting. But refuses Red's protection now that she's got Agnes back, which I think we're all happy. We've all been saying, I hope that happens in the next couple episodes. Finally, Agnes is back. Let's all give a round of applause. Woo! Agnes is back.
Now we can go back to changing diapers and feeding babies.
Oh, I don't think that'll be what'll happen. But she refuses Red's protection now that she's back, and Reddington seems to accept and acknowledge this. He just says, "Good night, Elizabeth and Tom," and walks out, which you and I both know he's going to have some kind of surveillance on her or something.
Oh, 100%.
How do you feel about this development? Do you feel like it's great because Liz finally took her life back? Do you feel like it's good because Red's accepting that she doesn't have to play by his rules? How do you feel about that development, the final development of the episode?
I think the final development says, you could go do what you want. I'm going to give you your space. This will be a way that I could show some good faith that you'll actually trust me and want to work with me. Because there was something that was brought up earlier, too, when Red was talking to Cooper and said, Cooper, I'm going to handle Kirk myself. If you still want my help, you're going to stay out of this. So clearly there's more of an agenda here that Red's Blacklist goes into play that's beyond Kirk. Mm-hmm. And because of that statement, I think this is a show of good faith on Red's part in order to keep working with the task force and start to let the Elizabeth thing slide a little bit, but still watch from the background. Because remember, he did that for whatever it was, 30 years when she joined the FBI. Mm-hmm. He was always watching from the background.
Interesting.
That is true. Remember, he was her angel, and you could pay for her, schooling and classes and whatever. And when she was talking about the Harbor Master's, when he was talking to her about the Harbor Master's daughter, he did all that stuff for Liz.
Yep, he did. So
plus
seems
Tom's
more
there, and he can convince Tom because Tom was the one that he originally hired to watch Liz in the first place.
I forgot what I was going to say now. Thanks.
No problem.
Yeah, banana. All right. I think that, man, how does this episode go shorter than, and it was a great episode. I think it's just because it was so compacted. What did you think overall? I mean, I think I liked, was it the premiere of the second episode? I don't remember which one I liked better, but this is probably my second favorite episode of this season and definitely the most fun.
Well, the second episode of the season doesn't count, right? Because you have that traumatic moment when he shoots Kaplan in the face.
That does count.
That literally
Why doesn't it
that
count?
literally makes it number one just because of that one scene.
Yeah.
I mean, as a complete constructed episode, though, soup to nuts, beginning to end, I think this episode is probably the best of the season.
I don't know, man. I like the Kaplan thing.
There's parts.
Cool.
There's parts of episode 2 that are good, but the episode as a whole, soup to nuts, story wise, this becomes number 1. That becomes number 2.
Wait, soup to nuts?
Soup
what?
to nuts. Yep.
What the hell does that mean?
That's what it's just saying, beginning to end.
Who says it?
Look it up.
I'm not looking that up, dum-dum. That makes no sense. I've never even heard. Soup to nuts. What does that mean? So you've been saying it your whole life and you don't even know what it means. This is the problem with America.
Soup to nuts is an American
he Googled
English...
it. He Googled it. No fair.
Soup to nuts is an American English idiom conveying the meaning of from beginning to end. It is derived from the description of a full-course dinner.
So nuts are the dessert?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. Well, I guess coffee. No, that's beans. That's beans.
In which a progress from soup to a dessert of nuts. It is comparable to an expression in other language, such as a Latin phrase from eggs to apples.
Nobody has nuts for dessert.
You put nuts.
Nobody.
You have nuts on your ice cream. Science.
No. Oh my God, that's not science. That's just a stupid saying that came out of nowhere.
It's food science because nuts on ice cream is good.
It's food science. Unless you're allergic, then you just killed someone with your stupid analogy.
Hey, at least I didn't jump off a building with a baby.
You didn't. All right. Well, show's not over, so don't go anywhere. But please remember to download the Blacklist Exposed app for iOS and Android. Be sure to go even deeper into the mystery of Red Reddington by visiting our partner Blacklist site, theblacklistnbc.com. We'll be right back with Red's Rhetoric right after this.
What if you could live your life without limits, where every desire you ever imagined could be fulfilled? This fall, experience Westworld, a show where every human's dark side will be revealed. After watching each episode, listen to Beyond Westworld, a podcast featuring humans and hosts from around the park, diving deep into HBO's illustrative narrative. Every hero has a code, and so do you. Download your itinerary and the show at BeyondWestworldPodcast.com or your podcast app of choice.
Welcome to Red's Rhetoric, that part of the show where we play two scenes from this week's episode, and then you get to vote which you think is the best one over at theblacklistexposed.com. Just look for the post for the Thrushes. Last week, 78% of you were conflicted by a decision. Don't worry, the U.S. election is almost over. But regardless of what you think, that makes Red odds the winner last week. This week, our first clip comes when Red goes off the grid.
Welcome to the past. This space is impregnable to every frequency of wireless transmission, including microwaves. Every piece of equipment you see is analog. Our sole concession to the digital revolution is a Miss Pac-Man machine in the break room.
But why?
Because I like Miss Pac-Man.
No, why this museum?
We've been breached.
Wait a minute. You two have been working together on this.
Yes. Our public disagreement was staged for Kirk's benefit.
You think he's got to tap into the post office?
I know it. Rene LeBron's death was proof.
You sicked us on LeBron as a test. You knew that if Kirk was listening and he heard that we were going after LeBron, he'd try to get to him first.
We set the bait, he took it.
A human sacrifice.
I prefer the term tethered goat. Besides, Harold, the man was a degenerate, and his death denies pariah states access to ready cash. Putting teeth back in the sanctions your country imposes with such tumescence.
Our second clip comes when Red has a heart-to-heart with Liz.
I think camera 2 is smidge to the left.
Juicy.
Hello.
Hey, hair to the left, please. No, your other left. Genius. No.
You still
I
haven't got
got it. Got it. Hey.
Chester's made some significant upgrades to your security. He's an absolute marvel.
How nice. All I need now is a barbed wire fence and guard towers.
Any word from Kirk?
You mean my father?
Honestly, Elizabeth, it astounds me that you could be hornswoggled by something as simple to fabricate as a DNA profile.
Not just the DNA. It's memories. Places I recognize. Things we did together. A time capsule we buried in the yard that no one else would know about.
Just because he was your mother's husband doesn't make him your father.
You know what you sound like? Desperate. Just a suspect caught in a lie.
I have never lied to you.
Which was your favorite this week? If you love a good game of Ms. Pac-Man, vote Red Analog. Or if you believe Red has always told the truth, vote Red Lie.
Okay, guys, thanks for sticking with us as we go from soup to sprinkles. I'm changing the saying. I'm changing it up.
Soup to sprinkles.
Soup to sprinkles. Or maybe soup to cheesecake, because that's what I would prefer to have. Soup to cheesecake. Now, let's see what all you special agents thought of this week's episode. Ella Bauer comes first. This episode was amazing. Definitely the best of the season so far. I think second. I had a feeling that Elise wasn't just an innocent girlfriend for Aram, and the scenes with Aram and Samara were gold. I totally agree. I loved Lizzie and Red working together to deceive Kirk, although I was worried when Liz made the phone call to Kirk towards the end that she was really trying to deceive Red. I don't like that Liz seems to be leaning towards Kirk and how naive she's being with the whole Kirk being her father. I don't think she's really being naive, honestly. I think she's just trying to get answers.
Agree.
I still don't believe that. However, I understand that this is necessary for development. I may be one of the few remaining who believe Red when he tells Liz that he's never lied to her. I don't think you're alone. I really think a lot of people do still hold to that. In my opinion, he's the only person Liz can truly trust. I just hope that Liz realizes how much Red loves and cares for her in whatever way. I need to see her being nice to Red again. Can I just say, so she's excluding Tom from being trustworthy.
Uh-huh. That's what I read into that. Maybe that's why he'll be leaving soon. Julie.
Don't be.
I want to see Tom Bond and his Tom Bond character.
She can trust Wrestler, too. I don't think Wrestler would ever steer her wrong.
I want to see Wrestler and Liz back on the case, Mulder and Scully. Season 1, like. I think they make a good team.
Me too. And messing up his hair.
Yes. Hashtag Diego Hair Challenge.
Mess up his hair, damn it.
Write it into the show. I know the writer's room is listening. Write it into the show. Just like, Wrestler, you did such a good job.
But do it slow. Do it slow.
Oh, that's creepy now. Moving on.
No, I kind of like it.
Well, we did speculate that they kind of had a thing for each other at one point, didn't we not?
Just mess it up nice and slow.
All right. Julie Wright said, what an outstanding episode. Not a coincidence that Red had more airtime than he's had this entire season. Loved every minute. Only constructive thing I'd say is that Liz needs to quit crapping on Red. He is the only one that has been there for her through everything. When will she realize this and start to respect it?
I gotta say, I mean, I totally see where Liz is coming from. I really do. I guess a lot of audience members don't, but I'm totally understand where Liz is coming from.
I mean, aside of we want Red and James Spader in the show and all of that stuff, put that aside, right? So this,
right,
this is a thing where it's not that Red is caring for Liz her entire life. Red is manipulating Liz her entire life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. So I don't know. We'll see. I get where Liz is coming from, but I also get where you're coming from, Julie. So I get both sides. Everybody loves Red. I get it. Sue Anthus says, absolute best episode of season 4. The Blacklist is back, baby. I need to rewatch immediately.
And again, and again, and again.
Banana.
Anita said, is anyone else disappointed that Masha's father turned out to be the man to whom her mother was married? It's kind of how it should work.
Not my life either, so I get it. I get where she's coming from.
How ordinary. I mean, my father was my mother's husband. That was a major disappointment to me about Kirk and Katarina. Not my parents, I mean. I expected a better backstory. Did anyone else think that Cooper and Panabaker were doing a little flirting with each other?
Ooh. It'd be a nice little tweak on the story arc, huh? Make Cooper and Panabaker, because we haven't heard from Charlene.
That's right.
He might have moved on. You never know.
And clearly, I think when you're going to poker night with another woman, that means Charlene's probably out of the picture.
Or you just want to go to poker night with another woman.
Or you just want to go to poker night to get away from your cheating ex-wife.
Yeah, that makes sense. All of these make sense, is what I'm saying. Priscilla Lemon said, I wonder why Alexander Kirk was never on Red's list to begin with. Me too. Me too. Me too.
Me 3. Neil.
You don't count.
I don't count. Me 2.5 then. Neil said, some of my favorite lines, Aram, I'm a 6. Well, a 4 on most days.
Totally disagree. I think you are a very attractive man.
Yeah, at least an 8. Red, right on schedule. Cooper, not a word. Absolute gibberish. And Aram, what part of banana did you not understand? The spider part that's at the bottom. I don't understand what the spider part's purpose is.
Oh, my goodness.
Technically, did you know that you're supposed to open a banana from the bottom, not the top?
How do you open it from the bottom?
You push your thumb into the spider, and then you pull the peel open, and then you use the part that's connected to the tree to actually hold as the handle. That's how monkeys eat the banana.
You do realize we have thumbs, right? So we can do whatever the hell we want.
I'm just saying, by breaking it from the stemmy part at the top, you're actually breaking the banana wrong.
So, because the monkeys decide this? Is that how it works in your world?
Try peeling a banana the other way and tell me if it's not easier to peel.
Well, now I have to. Thanks.
You bet.
Now I absolutely have to.
Neil also said Samar's reactions throughout the episode were great.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Kim Malam Cameron, I love the way they are writing Samar's character, and the show twists were good for this episode. Overall, I miss the other characters having larger dialogue sequences, Tom and Rustler, and really dislike the Kaplan side story. Time to move on from Who's Your Daddy as well.
Agree 100%.
Yeah, I agree with those. Yep, I do.
Yep. Paul Lasell, one of my favorite episodes. Samara wanted to have a one-on-one talk with Elise. Someone's got feelings. What part of banana did you not understand? Ha-ha! Hashtag enough we trust. Hashtag Aram-dorable.
Oh, Aram-dorable's making a comeback. I'm so proud of that one. That's my favorite hashtag I made. Annalise Olivia, I hope I said that right. Like others, I also believe Red fabricated the DNA report, but would Red leave such a huge paper trail of Masha Liz in existence? Question. Red said Liz was supposed to be a rumor. I'm still on the fence of who fabricated that DNA report, if it was fabricated. Katerina, maybe back in the USSR days for the KGB or the Cabal to earn their trust.
Ooh, see, bigger story.
Bigger story. Kirk was surprised when Red was not and seemed to know all about it. Totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there's more. I'm sorry. A few things that I found weird. One, Kirk said to Liz that Red took her mother away from him, Kirk, and also took Liz. Does that mean that they, Kirk, Katerina, and Liz, were never the happy family? Sure seems that way to me.
Yeah, it sure seems that Katerina was trying to get away from Kirk for some reason, if they truly were together in the first place at all.
Right.
And
right. I used your words against you. Sucks, don't it? And number two, that Kirk was happy to finally hear Liz call him father in Russian. Yeah, we didn't point that out because you brought it up in the notes, so I definitely want to say she did say father in Russian.
She did.
How does that make you feel?
It makes you feel like you finally learned how to speak Russian from last season. That's great. Congratulations.
But you don't think that that was a something that Liz's character is accepting him as her father. Do you believe that?
I believe that Liz is a profiler, and if you're a profiler, you understand how the mind works of the bad guy, therefore you can use whatever you want to manipulate the situation.
Okay. I get what you're saying. Okay, and that's it.
All right. TC Casa said, why do I feel like this show has become more about who can manipulate Liz the best? And based on what I just said, I think maybe Liz is doing some manipulating herself this season.
I think she has been, yeah.
Each leading character, Red, Constantine, and Tom all have their moments of trying to manipulate Liz into doing what she thinks is best. It would be nice to see Liz for once just make a decision on her own and go with it. With that being said, I really cannot tell if Lizzie is manipulating Constantine this whole time to get Agnes back. Or is she just blinded by her need to know what Red won't tell her? Will Red actually let her and Tom live on their own? Of course not, because if so, there would be no show. Needed a quick event. Anyway, great Amir episode. In the season preview, you guys talked about character development, and there clearly is no other character that has developed as he has this season. He went from the one-like computer nerd to leading a takedown of a key component in a plan. He also managed to deliver two potentially of my favorite Blacklist lines ever with I've got my own rubber ducky and quack, quack, bitch. Love the character development. At one point I posted here that I was more interested in the Kaplan story, but they have managed to completely make me lose interest in that piece.
Yeah, I think that's going to be resolved quickly. Nate Trujillo. I know I butchered that. I am sorry. The Blacklist goes cloak and dagger to great success. Who knew that Liz could be as conniving as Red and Kirk? I called that Aram's girlfriend was a Kirk operative last week. I saw that from a mile away. Red opened up to Cooper. I wish I was a fly on the wall for that conversation.
Don't we all?
Yep, I do. Samar stopped being a jerk to Aram just so she can eat his Paco's tacos. Think about that for a second.
Yep.
Now that Kirk is in the box at the post office, we will see the full scope of his power. The next few weeks will be awesome. Here's my big thoughts for this episode. If Red is really telling Liz the truth that she shot her father and Kirk is not her dad and Red isn't her dad, then who the hell is her dad? And does it matter?
Second question. I go back to Comic-Con season 1 when Red's like, do you really want to know? when Spader said that? Yeah.
Yep. Do you really want to know?
You
I don't
really
think
wanna know?
we really want to know.
No.
So we'll definitely find out.
We just want more good show. More episodes like tonight, please.
Yeah, it was a great episode. Great episode. Had a blast. And that's going to conclude this episode. So be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Blacklist GSM, where we live tweet during the East Coast feed, and we use the show's hashtag The Blacklist. And a big heads up and thank you to Rory for helping us out last week. We do appreciate it.
We do. And don't forget to watch those live pre-show Fire Talks that we're doing too over at firetalk.com/the-blacklist-exposed, I believe it is. There'll be a link in the Facebook group here and over at the Clearing Red Tape Facebook group as well. So make sure you check those out and join us for the pre-show chat with Rory and Tori. Those are great to see what you guys think and speculate before the show starts. Also, don't forget to follow us on Tumblr, Instagram, and join our Facebook group. Just search for The Blacklist Exposed. Talk about the show, the podcast, or heck, you know what? Just eat some Paco's Tacos.
You can also subscribe to the podcast in iTunes or listen from the website. But if you're really on the go, make sure you download our app for iOS or Android, powered by Spreaker. You can also find all intel and analysis about this episode for the Thrushes by visiting theblacklistexposed.com. Big thanks for listening. Don't forget to answer our profiling question of the week. Where does the show go next?
Soup to nuts, baby. Soup to nuts.
Quack, quack, bitches.
We'll see you next week.
Banana.
Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinritz. That's at Troy Heinritz on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinritz.
And I'm Agent Aram Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsider.com or on Twitter at H_outsider. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback, but most importantly, keep yourself off of the Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.